From sunny Southern California, we bring you Meet Bridget. Bring it on, baby! Welcome back to Meet Bridget Season 6. We're on a mission to combat the teenage confidence crisis. It's hard being a teen, and we talk about it honestly. If this is something you're passionate about, stay with us.
Meet Bridget is a giant career and life path library and a place where women of all ages and stages can connect on common ground. Each episode starts with a deep dive into our guest's day-to-day lifestyle, and then we tap into her unfiltered teenage stories, making the roots of her success relatable. I'm Kashia Rosenberg, and I co-host this show alongside my best friend, Asha Gabriel.
Today, you'll meet Brooke Medina of AR Workshop OC, a mobile DIY experience offering hands-on classes and private events. We dive into her career and her teen years. Heads up, this episode discusses themes of substance abuse and tragic loss, and we'll be sharing some resources in our show notes. Brooke shares how responsibility shaped her sense of self when she became a mother at 20, following a challenging time of instability and overdose. Sometimes the bravest move forward is letting go of what no longer fits. Welcome to Meet Bridget. We are so excited to have you on. Some of our audience may recognize Brooke Medina from AR Workshop because she's been at multiple events for us.
Yes.
She is a creative genius,
Yes.
and we're so excited to have you here. So why don't you dive in and just tell us, what is AR Workshop and what does a day in your life look like?
Okay, so AR Workshop today is a mobile creative studio. So what I really like to do is bring people together through arts and crafts, but through just anything that you could consider being creative. And it's only been that for a little over a year. What it was for 7 years was a studio with a whole workshop in the back and a retail boutique in the front, like a lumber cutting room. It was a whole thing. The climate has brought many changes in price and customers. And the only way for me to have been able to weather through that was to go mobile, which has been the most coolest, funnest. I wouldn't know you guys if it wasn't for it. So I get to be in the community, bringing creative experiences to the people instead of hoping and praying that they come to me.
I think that's so cool. But it also requires substantial flexibility too.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people start mobile and then they're like, when are we going to go to brick and mortar? That's the linear progression, right?
Yeah.
But to be able to have the observation skills and the humility to be like, actually, this is where
way better.
My client is looking for me to come to their events, to come to their homes, and bring the skill into their worlds.
When I tell people, they're like, oh, and I'm like, no, this is so good.
Yeah.
It's the best decision I could have ever made.
So what does a day in the life look like for you?
Chaos. I am a creative spirit. So, I mean, regularly I have a 10-year-old son. I have a 24-year-old daughter, but she's on her own. So get him off to school, fire off whatever emails, phone calls. I'm loading my car and then off to some cool place. Like I said, I've been here before, but when I shut my brick and mortar down, I really was just concentrated in the San Juan, San Clemente area. Shutting that down allowed me to open up to the whole county. So now I get to be here and Newport, Costa Mesa, all over. So I spend a lot of time on the road. I joke that if I had a chauffeur, I would be so productive. But.
Honestly, I have friends where it sounds so bougie, but like real estate agents and stuff where they're like, oh no, I actually like it.
Yeah.
It pencils out because the amount of time they're spending on the road from place to place, it's like you're working when you're, so
that's the main thing I underestimated.
I
know. Yes. Oh my gosh.
She has a truck. She has a truck driver. She brings all of her goodies in the back of her truck, and she is like,
my husband loves driving, so maybe we get to the point where he can quit his job
and just be your driver.
Yeah, he already helps me when he's not working, but I know I could sit in the back and no, I'm just kidding.
But not really.
Yeah, you're like, drive a roll up with a partition.
Exactly.
She's like, I'm back here with my crafts.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I mean, even with our events, you've done two very different things for us.
Yeah.
For people that hadn't seen our stories and whatnot, for our holiday event, you came and did the most gorgeous mistletoe
So fun.
swags
Yeah.
that people just loved. That was
Yeah.
such a hit. And then before that, we had this like mobile bracelet bar that was so cute and personalized. I feel like, because she and I talked about you afterwards, and we were like, she really like took what we like the feeling we wanted to create and the vibe and the theme, and you just made it happen. Like mistletoe bar wasn't on your website.
No, but it's going to be thanks to you guys this winter.
Yeah.
Or I guess fall, whatever.
How do you go about like sourcing for your craft? So you get an idea. How are you making it make sense from like a financial perspective where it's like, okay, I'm going to price like this. And then, these are my suppliers. You have relationships for various crafting.
So I'm actually, AR Workshop is a franchise that started on the East Coast with two ladies, Maureen Anders and Adria Ruff. And they're really big in like the Better Homes and Garden. And they're on like the news over there. They're very well known. Over here, not so much. So they started the franchise. It'll be 10 years this year. And we are over 100 women. So we have a great like collective of minds. And one of the things that's been great about the franchise is like I just launched this like soak and salt bar. So you can make your own bath salts. So I try to stay local and support the mistletoe. I have a regular grower that I get stuff from. But I've built a relationship with the Rancho Mission Viejo Reserve right by the riding park. And I got to know the lady who runs it and hear the story behind it. And I was like, look, what if I come and I source through you? Then we're supporting a local thing. So sometimes the corporate, there's a long answer to a quick question. Corporate will have sourcing capabilities, but I do try to source where it makes sense right within Orange County, if not California, if I can.
That's actually really cool. It's such a great way to build community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I feel like even, going back to events is like a new thing for us. We started as an events company and now we're kind of getting back into it with a different perspective. But I feel like a big part of what we've been trying to do with our events is like, we are a community for women when possible. Like, let's find women in the community and support their businesses and highlight them and connect them to the women in our community who are women. They're going to go hire them, and like, this is a win-win-win-win for everybody involved. And it was just,
it's really become this really great layer of everything that we do.
Yeah.
And it's the physical embodiment of what we do.
Yeah.
So it's so great.
And when you go like even outside of that, when you are supporting within your community, the money's staying within your community. So like the roads you use, the schools you use, the fire, the police, the first responders, all whatever you're spending within your city, you're also, or county, you're funding that directly. So I don't know that everybody fully understands the importance of really trying to stay within your community.
Well, and that's the interesting thing is like everything is easy and quick and Amazon will have it there in 3 to 6 hours. And, but I feel like supporting small businesses, people really don't have perspective. Sometimes it's like that one transaction that you just were like, maybe I'll do this instead.
Flag football.
Yeah. Totally. Like that behind every small business transaction is like a person jumping up and down, a person.
Whereas I don't know that Target jumps up and down.
Right.
But it's such a good reminder that we are, parts of a whole.
Yeah.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
You have had to pivot throughout your career, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more as the interview progresses. But I'd love to hear about some of your core traits, like what makes you good at what you do, what core personality traits do you have that inherently make your day-to-day possible?
Oh my gosh. I would like to say for the most part, I'm pretty flexible. My husband may say differently. I kind of have to really go with the flow. Both of my parents, super creative people. So creativity, very naturally, our home, we always had it. Not that we were like sitting at a table crafting, but my dad, when I was younger, owned a craft store. So
cool.
I kind of grew up running chaos in that. And then my mom was an interior designer. And so I would say probably creative. I think that's what kind of flows. My faith, I really try to let Jesus guide me. There was a long time where I chased a dollar and really would stress out about every dollar. And about a year ago, I was like, you know what? Like, my faith is relationships. We were created and designed to be in relationship, not to chase anything that's materialistic. So for the last about 18 months, I have just tried to be intentional creating relationships with people. And, through that, things like this happen.
Yeah, I love that. The mindfulness is such a great place to start. And it really speaks to, again, like how you develop relationships in the community around you. Do you do you work mostly on your own or do you hire people? And if so, like what are things that you look for?
Right now I mostly am working on my own. When I had my brick and mortar, there was a season where I had like 13 employees. Um, It's a little hard to do that because it's really like I had a store, so I had retail hours and evenings, so I had more to give to an employee. What I look for is not creativity in someone, because the way the business is formatted is we are for everyone, not for the creative one. So I look for people who are personable. Look for people who you can just tell they like to be intentional behind their actions. I love starting with young girls. Not that we have favorites, but some of my favorite employees, they started when they were young. One of them was like 16. And in the course of her few years with me, she ran my whole store. She's just graduated from college and has a great job in anthropology. So it's fun to kind of teach them and watch them grow and then move on in life. But I don't really look for creative people, just personable.
I think that's such a good point about because essentially what you're doing is you are teaching, you're guiding people into how crafting and working with your hands can, enhance those relationships, right? That's really what I feel like it's all about. But people might think like, oh, in order to teach something, you have to be like the point is to be the best at that thing, be the most creative. And it's like, no, to be a teacher of something, like the best teachers aren't like the experts in those things. They're the people that can like connect with somebody and help them find like their own spark.
And encourage. You really want to, some people are really scared to pick a nail polish color, let alone what color they're going to paint a sign that they're going to give someone at a wedding.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to hold hands and encourage so that everybody knows they're capable.
Yeah. It's great though, because in talking about people's capabilities, it sounds like you focus a lot more on the process of something as opposed to like the outcome or even like the initial creativity, like you said. I like that your business is really structured around everyone.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to speak a little bit more to that, because when you come to our events and we talk about like the bracelet bars or the mistletoe arranging, it's not that you're just doing it on your own. Like there's a very active portion of the process. So I'd love for you to kind of like walk us through that part of your creativity and like sharing it and teaching other people like how to do what you do.
Yeah, they're encouraging people. Some people just don't want to touch, don't want to get dirty. They have their reason, and so that's okay. We'll do it for you. Just tell us what you like. But yeah, it's really fun to show people that they are actually capable of creating something that they love, and then like the byproduct of that, hopefully during your experiences, they've created a tangible memory, because a lot of times people are gathering with family, friends, coworkers, strangers. They're not necessarily going to always have the bracelet or the greenery bundle, but hopefully they'll always have the memory and that to look back on, and hopefully a connection that will last even longer, because when people's hands are busy, their guard is down. So in a setting like your events where it's not where everybody knows each other, the hope is that people will let their guards down and that they'll get to know some new people and make some new relationships.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Speaking of process, so we mentioned that you've had a lot of different roles like throughout your career. It didn't just start out as AR workshop and end up this way. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your career journey and the pivots that you've made along the way to get to where you are now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my parents owned a store called H&H Craft and Floral. Eventually was bought out by Michael's, but I'm told when I was little, I would just like was a brat would run through that. So I kind of always grew up in a creative environment. High school, I worked in a hardware store. Denalt's True Value Hardware. Shout out to like small business. And then after high school, I became a mom pretty early on. So it was I just need to sustain an income, a lot of administrative, different things. And then eventually I started working in my early 20s for my parents. My dad is a manufacturer's sales rep. So he sells home decor that we would buy from like Rogers Garden. He would sell them. He still does sell them the product. And then my mom had a retail store and did interior design. What was different is my mom's gifting was not like necessarily having you come and buy all new stuff, but helping you repurpose things you already had, things that were nostalgic to your family or your childhood. That. So I started helping them for many years. And then just helping my mom and my dad, I became an interior designer myself, not by education, but just by experience. And then I did that I still do it sometimes, but full-time for 7 years until I opened up AR Workshop.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. You talk about going, because you had a brick and mortar store, which you said closed about 18 months ago. Can you talk us through like the process of closing that and what that felt like? Because like Asha mentioned, usually when you think about the progression of things, people think, oh, I'm going to go from mobile to brick and mortar, whereas you're finding a lot more success and freedom the other way around.
Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2020 was amazing. I mean, it wasn't, but business-wise, it was amazing.
Yeah. It's like, we're at home. Let's craft.
Right. And people were really recalibrated to like, let's support our community. And people were just trying to, okay, who was in my community? Who can I give, my money to? And so we were like killing it, making home crafting kits. A lot of people were home relaxing. Me and some of my friends and my family and employees were pouring 500 cups of pink and 500 to make these little to-go kits.
Yeah.
But as 2020 went away and everything that's just happened in our country since then, it took a big nosedive. And although a lot of pricing leveled out, the cost of wood rose like hundreds and hundreds of percent and never really leveled back out. So sustaining that was really hard. Not just the wood, but all of the costs. And it was either you can't really pass on that much of a hike to your customers. That's just doing them an injustice. And so initially I had thought I was going to just sell my location. I started looking for a job and was going on interviews and I love merchandising. My dream job would be like a travel the country and merchandise retail stores. So I started doing some merchandising around the county for retailers that I knew, thinking my store would close or sell and I could find what I wanted to do next. Prior to that, I had already started doing offsite with businesses that I had built a relationship over the 7 years. I would come to their location and do things. And I had said a few times to my dad and my husband, I wish I could just do this. Forget the retail, forget the 4 walls that I'm locked in from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I want to be out there. And so it's funny that like God hears your heart. And so almost a year after having flippantly saying that, in the middle of the process of closing, corporate called when I'm in Hawaii on vacation and was like, hey, so they were speaking with a potential buyer and they said, we want you to know that we're thinking about doing this new branch off of like a crafty cruiser, of a mobile experience. Would you be interested? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny because I just said that's what I want to do.
You were speaking it into existence.
Yeah. So that was May of 2024. September of 2024, I closed my doors. It was bittersweet. My husband had an injury at work, and so he was like in and out of the hospital. And of course, this all went down in the moments of like closing. So
when it rains, it pours.
So it was a bit of a chaotic closing, which didn't allow allow me to sit in my feelings.
Mm.
And because things were going in the directions they were meant to go, I already had things lined up. So there was never a moment to really slow down and be sad. It was more like, we're going to be excited and we're just going to.
Yeah. Rolling stone.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yeah.
What would you say to women who, might be in your position and are thinking about closing something down to move on to the next chapter? What would you say to somebody who felt like letting go of something was maybe like a setback or a failure?
Yeah. And I feel like society conditions us to think
Mhm.
that. But I think you should do it. If you like whatever your faith or belief system is, if you feel it, women, we have a good intuition. Whether you know it or not, you do.
Yeah.
And you should just follow your heart
Mhm.
because if you are into something, it's going to be good. And often the good is not what we're envisioning.
Mm.
The good is like when you reflect back to what it was and compare it to what it is now, then you can kind of say, okay, this is good.
You can see the growth in retrospect.
Yeah.
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 I love that.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, so much of our podcast is about honing back into that teenager in each of us, what we call kind of the Bridget in every one of us. Can you drop us back into your teen world? If you could close your eyes and imagine yourself as 14 or 17, what were you like?
Oh my gosh. Horrible. I was not a good kid. I don't know. It's hard to like not get emotional about that period. We I was raised by my biological mom and my dad until right before those years. And so then my dad, with the help of his mom, raised us on his own until he met who I refer to as my mom. And so right the summer before middle school, we all came together as one family. But it was a little cloudy because there was a lot of deaths during that time. We didn't really have a foundation in anything.
Yeah.
So we moved, from Altaloma to Orange County with a new woman and a new family, and then people were dying and our mom was in and out. And so it was not like calm or peaceful.
Yeah.
But we were always loved. My dad always did a good job of providing. He stocked shelves as a kid and worked his way into owning the businesses that he stocked shelves on. So he always worked really hard and gave us a good work ethic, but that also meant that he was not always present. And so my go-to was substances at a pretty young age.
Do you feel like, did that start after you were kind of being raised by your dad and grandma, or was there seeds of that kind of before?
No. So my parents, my biological my dad, they struggled with substance, and it was my dad's decision after my younger sister was born, like no more. And so he was able to get on the straight and narrow, whereas my biological mom was not. And to this day, she unfortunately still struggles with substance abuse. I have somewhat of as much of a relationship as you can have. Actual like using was probably 8th grade, alcohol, pot, and then from there it just kind of progressed until right after high school. It was a little bit of everything, and then I wound up overdosing, which in hindsight was a blessing because that was really the last time I touched any type of substances to that degree.
We so appreciate you sharing this part of your story because it is important, and it's also just it's real and actually pretty common experience too. People hear like, oh, I overdosed, and they're like, whoa, but like an overdose doesn't go from 0 to 100. It starts with a little bit of alcohol, and then it's, can you kind of walk us through, to the extent that you're able, how things kind of built up, and like where you feel like your relationship with substances really started and how it kind of moved from step to step?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up, so like alcohol especially was
Mm.
just kind of a part of gatherings. it started, I think, with like snagging a bottle of my parents and drinking it with my friends, right? You think it's totally innocent. To then, weed, which back then wasn't legal. And this is like the late 90s where the rave scene was really popular. So from there it was ecstasy. I don't know what they call it now.
Yeah.
Cocaine, methamphetamines. And it would culminate to like sometimes usage to regular usage. I actually moved out while I was still in high school, so that made it easier to use it. And when I moved out, my parents were so upset. They're like, "You're not going to graduate." So I graduated just to spite their words.
Yeah.
Joke's on me, right?
Right.
The joke's on you. You got an education.
They're like, we have an idea of how we can motivate her. Tell her she
Right.
can't do something because
Totally.
she's going to do it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
how you get me to do anything.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
relate.
husband. Yeah. Manipulate me. Don't let me know I'm being manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so by the time I was 18, it was pretty regular use of ecstasy, cocaine, and methamphetamine.
Did your parents at the time, do they have knowledge of your using or like who kind of was around you and who did you feel maybe isolated from at the time?
They knew. My dad was this like, free loving 80s.
Yeah.
So, like that he was very aware and probably tried everything I ever tried
Yeah.
at some point in his life, where my mom was very conservative. She was older than my dad by 9 years, so she never really dabbled in any of that. So to her, finding weed in my jewelry box was like devastating. And like if you ever tried acid, we're gonna have to put you in a psych ward because you'll never be the same again. So it was very like polar opposite reactions, which just meant that I had to get better at being sneaky about it. But I typically always hung out with males who were older than me. I had my like core group of girlfriends, but there was a season where my parents kind of lost everything without really them having control of that. And I switched schools, which introduced me to like a new crowd of people. And from there, it just kind of snowballed until it didn't.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's a lot of young people that can relate to that moment of like having to switch schools or a move or a sudden change in their family structure and how that can kind of, as a human, we want connection. So it's like, you might be going into maybe the wrong group, but it's like whoever I can like attach to fastest and feel like most comfortable with. And what makes you feel most comfortable,
Letting
a
your guard
substance.
down. What are you going to use to let your guard down?
Yeah. Did you, were you aware that there was like, going in a wrong direction for you, or was it more of just like a coping mechanism for other things that were going on?
I was aware because I watched my mom lose her family. So it was kind of like in the moment, I remember kind of being shocked that I was doing this, but not, like looking back, not so shocked to stop doing it.
Right.
The progression was kind of like a slow burn. And when things were really bad, it was a really short period of time, thankfully so.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, get caught in it and can't ever get out. Luckily for me, when I did overdose, it was on a multitude of things, and I had already gotten into a little bit. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time and got a ticket. And the only way to get it off of my record, I was just 18, was to go to a drug class. And my overdose happened the night before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they just dropped me after like that. I was dropped on my parents' doorstep. So the next morning, my dad took me to the drug class. And so I think it was the combination of very scary, and then you're learning the drug classes was scaring you to never do drugs. I think that was like God's saving grace. I wound up getting pregnant with my daughter less than a year later. If it wasn't for those things happening, I would probably be a very different person today.
So wild.
Such a young age too to be going through something that is, that's rock bottom, right? Like a overdose.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that? I think you explained the moment a little bit of like just like the contrast between like overdosing and then being in this class.
Yeah.
On a spiritual level or as a your personality.
Yeah.
what do you think was the biggest product of that shift in moment for you?
I don't know that I was in control of any of it. When I was dropped off, I if my memory serves me correct, my parents actually had people over for their Bible study.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so like I didn't grow up in a house that faith was part of it, but my
Yeah.
siblings are 6 and 8 years younger than me. They have a
Mm.
little bit more stable. I mean, they
Yeah.
experienced some trauma, but they were really young. So their upbringing was pretty faith-based,
Mhm.
whereas mine was not so much.
Yeah.
But I do know it was like the faith of other people, the prayers of my
Mhm.
family and their friends. And my brother is a pastor, and I
Mhm.
can remember from 20 years ago him talking to me about my faith. I've only been relational with Christ for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's the faith of other people that saved me.
Mhm.
If you could sit down with either your younger self or a current young woman in that place, in the, escalation of substance use or experiencing, changes or grief, what are some things you wish you could have heard or you wish you could tell someone?
It's okay. What you're feeling is normal.
Mhm.
I think that our parents, our generations before us, were never given a space to feel or
Yeah.
to like stop and acknowledge things. And so I think it's such a cheesy saying, but like it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to not want to do anything or, but also like we have to carry on.
Mhm.
Like we can't sit in this forever. And I think like for me today, therapy has been a huge way for me to unpack all of that. Not to say that we didn't have like court mandated therapists and all that back
Mhm.
then, but I think most importantly, I can name my feelings where I
Mhm.
don't think back then I knew I was anxious, I was
Right.
scared, I was sad. It was always, I lived in a family where it's like my older brother passed away on a Saturday night and I was in summer school on Monday. Like we're here,
gosh.
we have to keep living,
Yeah.
and that's how we honor them. Whereas like maybe we stop and we pause and we
Right.
honor them
And
with our
like
sadness.
feel sad,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and take a moment.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I love how you relate it back again to the process though. It's like the way that you describe having these really deep emotions, which are real and okay to have, but like also being able to join that with we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Like those don't have to be separate things.
No, I think it
Where
almost
yeah.
honors them.
Yeah.
Like
So
instead of letting that define you,
mhm.
like let's do it almost like in spite of it. Like let's
Mhm.
carry it with us and
Yeah.
be better because of it.
Mhm.
You've mentioned, obviously, we've been talking about substance use, but grief was a big
Yeah.
part of that, and mixed in with all of those emotions. You mentioned your brother and also your grandmother.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how the journey of grief was at the time, and also how, I think anyone can relate. Like once you've lost someone, it's like
Mhm.
that's a journey that keeps going. I think for as long
Totally.
as we keep going, right?
Yeah.
If it was
Yeah.
a meaningful relationship. Can you tell us a little bit about the loss of both those people?
Yeah, and I just lost my mom like 2 years ago too.
Mm.
So it's, I mean, my dad has said a few times in our life like grief is just in our DNA. Like we
Mhm.
know. I forgot the question.
Talking about like just the loss,
loss.
of
Yeah.
like your
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
how each loss kind of maybe was different.
Yeah. So losing my brother, who was my stepbrother,
Mhm.
was wild because we just became this family, this
Mhm.
dynamic, and he was only around for 4 or 5 years before he was gone. My dad was the driver, which made
Mhm.
that a little bit hard. So it was
Was an accident?
yeah, a car accident. So there's like a guilty grief that you have, like you want to be
The survivor's grief.
yeah. And there was just a lot of like really gross, hard circumstances around that. And then
Yeah.
for them being newly married, which I now know how hard those
Imagine.
first few years of
Yeah.
marriage
Mhm.
are. It's incredible that they were married for almost 30 years after
Wow.
that.
Right.
Yeah. Losing my grandfather, he was one of the main, like, constant. It was actually my biological mom's father, who was always a big part of my life. In fact, my dad was like the trust of his estate. That's how close he was to our family. So that was just like, he was my tie to my maternal side. So having that gone just a few months later, I think it was 2 months later, it really was just like,
Yeah.
what is happening? And the bittersweet is I like met one of my closest friends in that season in summer school. Her name was Yesenia. And she, like, I don't know, when you see someone sad, you want to be nice to them. So through my grief, we formed an incredible relationship. And then she passed away from a car accident as well, a passenger in our mid-20s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like a crazy full circle moment. And then losing my mom, I think I have enough awareness and therapy to actually have processed it in a way that is not detrimental to my well-being, being a mom, being a wife. And I think I have learned to kind of carry the grief in a way that allows me to still carry them with me,
Yeah.
which I didn't have that back
Right.
then.
It's just like loss, move on. You don't
Yeah.
have them anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, what, that's a piece of you,
Yeah.
you know, that you're a,
Yeah.
It's so, again, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing all of these really difficult parts of your life and your journey with us. It sounds like there was such a sense of instability for so long, and then your parents coming together, your dad and who you call your mom now, and your siblings, was really like the first time that you were experiencing stability and like the traditional sense before things kind of went in waves again. You talk a lot about motherhood and becoming a mom really young, and how that was the part of your journey where like this new sense of responsibility started to set in. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about how that helped shape what your life started to become, and like how you managed these seasons of grief and these seasons of change, or, tumult, if you will.
Yeah. Um, well, so I became a mom at 20. I was pregnant at 19. And so, I mean, I have, my daughter's 24, and I look at her and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you would have a 3-year-old right now. It really, it reunified my relationship with my parents, which was cool. I wound up actually moving back in with them because I had moved out in high school. And it really let me be what I never got. My mom, the woman who raised me, was not like maternal. I love you. You're so precious, my baby. Like that was, she was like she was very Italian and not mushy. And so it allowed, it allowed me to be all of the things that I wanted, but I also carried in that all the things that I saw. So, and so if I could do it all over again, actually I did get to do it all over again because I became a mom again at 35. And probably baby my son more than I should. But I mean, it being a mother has been really truly healing of a lot of things, and it's given me the stability that I always desired. It's given me it healed the abandonment wounds to a degree. I have to do a lot of that work on my own with my therapist. But motherhood it's I think what saved my life, and also what's healed me.
So beautiful.
You mentioned like your overdose is a major turning point, and that you became a mom very shortly after. In that period between the two, because it sounds like motherhood kind of then, you had this turning point, and then motherhood was like
like 6
an opportunity
months.
for you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that period of time, and how did you shift? Because obviously, like, you had these coping tools that weren't working for you.
Yeah.
They had to be replaced by something. What did you start doing during that time that did work for you, and kind of showed up more when you became a mom?
Well, I started working full time.
Get busy.
Yeah. And gosh, it's really hard to remember that back then. But I know from the moment that I knew I was pregnant, it was like time to grow up, time to like get a real job, try to mend whatever stuff I needed to because I wanted my family to be there. My parents were, my mom was excited, which I was so afraid, but she was like so excited. My daughter gave my mom the opportunity to kind of heal. My brother had only passed away like 5 years before. So I think it kind of healed her in that way.
Yeah.
But if I'm being completely honest and transparent, I had already started to go back down that road before I became pregnant. And finding out I was pregnant is what, like, okay.
Yeah.
It's really time to
I
get
really
it.
am supposed to be.
Yeah. Time to get it together, Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was crafting a part of your life during that time? Or was it kind of just I know you mentioned you worked at a hardware store.
Yeah.
Which is also, it's not crafting, but it's like, it's
Working with your
physical,
hands.
doing
I
stuff
know.
with your
It's so
hands.
funny
And I love seeing those little like threads.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like,
that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
It's funny to watch the thread. No, actually, not really. I wasn't like crafting also. It almost sometimes it would be a trigger. I don't really like using that word, but it was something that reminded me of my biological mom, reminded me of all of that. So it wasn't really something that I was super into until my 30s. So at that point, my daughter was like 10. Designing and doing that kind of stuff, I did. My parents were amazing. They let me work with them. So the designing and retailing and merchandising and getting, stuff ready to reset the store for the holidays and decorating homes for the holidays, which I still do today. That was always there, but like the tangible crafting didn't start until I became a mom with my son. Didn't start again, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he hates it.
I was just going to say, was it something you guys did together?
Yeah, he grew up in my store. Like I had a bar and behind it was his playroom.
Yeah.
Like inside the bar was not alcohol. It's his toys.
Yeah.
And we would build like ramps out of scrap wood for his matchbook cars. And today, I have to I can't. There's nothing I could offer him as bribery to get him to do a craft.
That's
He's
so
just going to
funny.
circle back to it when he has it.
Yeah.
That was me, right? I wanted nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I feel like anything we do with our hands, because you and I are really kind of in a season where we're leaning into, obviously, like we love being creative people, but, just doing things for the sake of doing them and like using your hands or writing something down or doing something physical and how it can actually be such a emotional processing tool.
Yeah, journaling
too.
alone is such a great way to process feelings.
So I imagine you have a lot of like, equipment and stuff. Do you have like a storage unit or how do you kind of like manage all of this stuff?
I had a warehouse when I first closed. I had a warehouse in San Clemente. So then I was driving a lot.
Okay.
And then we recently moved into the city of Rancho Mission Viejo, which allowed us to have like extra space. So we have basically like a 1-car garage, which is such a lie. It bleeds everywhere in the house. But I have the space of a 1-car garage for the bulk of my saw, my paint, my yarn, where all of your greenery was sitting in water and being ready. Yeah. So it's all within the residence.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I feel, for me, it is a motherhood thing. I feel like I recently acquired not only a glue gun, not only a laminator.
But is it a wireless glue gun? Have you
Wait, no.
I'm not.
I need that.
Costco has them.
I'm like on the brink of getting a Cricut machine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking about that too.
I'm like, I can see that like Cricut machine.
Yeah.
I'm like, those who know. But I'm like, am I going? That's like a deep dive. I feel like I'm committing to a new level of
all
crafting.
The things you could make for
I
your
know.
kids
Honestly,
and how much cooler their birthday parties would be.
I know, because I'm like right there. I'm like, I'm ordering all the things on Etsy. I'm like, I know these people are just making things on Cricut machines.
100%.
And I'm like, I got all the other craft things. I'm like, it started with a drawer, and now it's like 6 drawers in my office, and I take such pride in those things because it's like, oh, mommy, my button came off, and it's like, hold on,
Here's my sewing kit.
I'm a real mom.
I will say before you like fully
I know I have a big tackle box of like my sewing kit.
Totally.
You need the space.
Yeah.
Yes, it takes space.
Yeah, and because creative minds are disorganized minds, are messy minds, and like that is where creativity flows, right?
Yeah.
But also you can't really be productive in that space. So if it's like set aside,
you're
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see your workshop.
Right? No, you wouldn't. It's not as cool as you think.
I think that's where the fun is, though. But you're right that it has to kind of be to different spaces. It's interesting. Like my office right now is a very small room.
Yeah.
But it's like it's turned into like half of it is like chaos.
Yes.
And then half is like where I record when we do remote recordings. And it's like,
as long as you
perfect.
can see them, if your
like
line
we
of
work
vision
on this
is
side and be
clean.
crazy on this side.
Exactly.
It's a yin and yang relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love for you to share with women listening what's something that you hope they'll trust about themselves in seasons of uncertainty.
Gosh, that we are capable of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a group of people, of women, I mean, that are cheerleading you, and if you don't have to have the family, you don't have to have the friends, you just have to have those, like the village, because when there's something like, I mean, for me, it's really Jesus, and I know that's not for everyone. We all have different faith bases. Like, I know He stands for me, so what can be against me? And if you don't have that, call me. I'll be your cheerleader, because I feel like if you don't have anybody encouraging you, we can see better in you than often you can see better in yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the things we used to do in our events too, is we would tell the girls, talk to yourself. Like we'd have different activities centered around talking to yourself like you would talk to a close friend. Because often the way that you talk to a close friend or somebody that you care about is so much kinder and more compassionate than we are with ourselves.
Right?
We had like a entire weekend event with
Yeah.
Microsoft, and at the end of the event, the girls knew each other. This is a cool event because nobody knew each other coming into it. They were from all different schools, socioeconomic backgrounds, and people it was a mishmash, and we were excited about that because before we had kind of like gone into schools or groups. And at the end of the event, we had everyone, we were all kind of sitting down, and we just did it like there was, you just did it based on how you were sitting, but each person like turned to the person next to them and said how they saw the next person.
I love
and there
that.
were tears, and like, I'm like, this isn't happening especially with our young women. I'm like, I feel like we get to this age and you're like, female friendships, like all I want to do is just be like, you're amazing,
And like you have social media. I don't even know how old you guys are, but like I was lucky enough, thank God, to not have social media and chase the like and the reposts and all that. I can only imagine what that does on the psyche of a young girl.
It's scary. I mean, we thankfully missed the Instagram part of it. I mean, I think Facebook and like blogs were kind of like a thing, or MySpace actually.
Yes, that was.
And even that I remember, like, because when you're a teen, you're so fixated on what your peers are doing and how you appear to them and, how you're presenting yourself to the world and you're figuring yourself out. So it's completely destabilizing, I imagine, to like constantly compare.
I feel like so much about like online presence is image. It's image.
Yes.
Regardless of what you're saying, it's image. People are looking at a moving picture or video of you. And it's like, unless you're sitting down in like a conversation or something like this, like, what was cool about that moment, none of the girls said anything about how the other person looked or acted. It was literally like, oh, you're so funny. Like you made me laugh this whole weekend, or like you have such
Your
good
energy
ideas.
lights up the room.
Yeah. And I'm like, these are young girls. I think that group was like mostly like 13-year-olds, like younger.
Oh, wow.
But speaking with this real like they could see the truth in each other. And I think it was just such a gift, and that we want to make have it obviously as adults, doing it to each other, but also being like, this is how you do this as a young woman, and also being vulnerable and being like, hey, I'm going through this hard thing. Let's people connect with you, 100%, and see you as confident. Like that confidence is actually like being open,
Vulnerability is such a strength that I think is really underrated, because it's scary.
Yeah.
But it makes you strong.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you're a perfect like walking example of it too. The way that you present yourself and the way you're able to articulate all of these things that you've experienced throughout your life. And, it really ties back to, how you've managed to adapt and create new opportunities for yourself. And you can really see how that ties into how important community is for you and being there for other people.
There's a place for everyone at the table.
Yeah,
that's my, like everyone is welcome, everyone is accepted. And it's silly because it's crafting, right? So everyone, whether you know how to do it or not, accepted. But really, how much better would life be if we always had a seat for everyone at our table?
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, with that note, where can people find you, hire you, work with you,
Yeah.
sit at your table? How can they
Besides
reach
our
you?
events.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Always there.
You're invited.
Always there.
We've got some fun things coming.
Yes.
I'm excited. Yeah. So my Instagram is AR Workshop Orange County.
Mhm.
I've recently started a women's like networking group in South Orange County called
I love
She Means Business _OC.
I love
And it's just started in October. And tonight we have like 70 women coming.
Yes.
Oh my God,
I know, it's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So yeah, AR Workshop Orange County, She Means Business OC. And if you just want to see me like bumble through life, it's just Instagram is Brooke Medina.
I love it.
Well, we always end every interview with the same question. What is a quality or trait that you had as a teenager that maybe you didn't appreciate then, but you look back and cherish now?
Oh man. What would the word be where like nothing's gonna like resilience, I guess. Like I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
No matter what
foot
life
in the
throws
front
at
of the
you.
next.
Yeah.
I can see that. in
What would
you.
the word be?
I think resilience.
Okay.
Resilient. I think
Tenacity.
Tenacity.
There you
Yeah,
go. Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay, sure.
I feel like a
Tenacious.
theme. I like
Yes.
notice even in our conversation is like you have been able to like let go of a lot.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
'cause
and
I have
keep
a really
moving.
good therapist.
Yeah. Amen.
yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Well, thank you, Brooke. This was a delight and an
Yes.
honor
Thank
to
you.
hear your story. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate you sharing difficult things. We're going to include some resources in our show
Mhm.
notes. But thank you for being on and thank you for being part of
guys.
our community.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's our show. If you liked what you heard today, please like, subscribe to, follow, and share Meet Bridget with your circle. The best way to help our work here is to rate and review our podcast. We're listening and constantly working to build something helpful for you. Catch you next time.
Bring it on!